Tested the what?
We tested beforehand.
We're good. We're good to go. Any time I should take. It's got fringes. It's good. You got fringes. good? I think we're good. Thank you for being here. First words I want to start tonight with, and probably last words. We're going to start off with a little nigun, which is a wordless melody. If you're here tonight and you don't know Hebrew, or if you do know Hebrew, or if you're Jewish or you're not Jewish, this is the place for you. And the whole point of a nigun is that everyone can be a part of it. And the thing I want you all to hold first tonight is that if there's any point to this service, to Judaism, to music, or just being a human being, it's to join in and be a part of it. So in whatever ways you can, whether in word, or song, or body, or in spirit, find your way in. We'll be repeating this little tune, and when you're ready, just hop on it. Take it away.
So I want to begin by welcoming everyone into the space for our Kol Nidre service. My name is Tammy Farber, my pronouns are she, they, and I'm a proud and grateful member of JVP. We want to thank you for wearing masks to protect each other from the ongoing COVID pandemic. If you have any additional access needs, you can talk to me. Ariel over there, you can wave your hand. And we will support you in any way that is needed. And tonight we are grateful also to have Terry and Ella, who are outside, our marshals, to be with us and to hold communion in safety, and so we thank you. We also want to express deep gratitude for Reverend Mike Moran, who we will call up to say a few words, and to Eric in the back. Eric, if you want to raise your hand also, for opening your hearts and doors at First Unitarian so we can gather together.
Yes. Good evening and welcome to our sacred space here at First Unitarian Denver. I recognize some faces from about a week ago. If you weren't here then, let me just very briefly share with you just a tiny bit about the congregation that you find yourselves in. These banners on the wall, I think, speak a great deal about who we are. But there's a little saying ritual we do at the end of every single Sunday morning, and we actually sing it, but the words go like this: behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. Welcome to our space this evening.
And so we also want to take a moment to thank B'nai Havurah for lending us their Torah tonight, and to thank all the members of JVP, Denver Queer Havurah, and Tirdaf Anti-Zionist Havurah for contributing to making tonight's service possible. We also want to acknowledge that in tonight's service, when we say the word Yisrael in prayer, we are not praying to a nation state. We are speaking about a people. And now I'd like for all of us to take a moment and place one or both hands over your heart if you're able to. And together, let's just take one deep, full communal breath. And so let us look around the room and take in those who have come to be here in community, in ritual, in prayer, in song, who are here for cultivating ratzon, a deep yearning to be closer to Hashem, closer to those who embody Jewish values similar to one's own, and a Judaism beyond Zionism. A yearning for a free Palestine, for justice, and an end to the unspeakable brutality and devastation. And to be present to the power of Ometz Lev, courage and strength of heart, as we gather together on Erev Yom Kippur. We recognize many are arriving tonight with a range of feelings, sensations, experiences, longings. For some, this may be your first service. For some, you may have been to many Kol Nidre services, yet feel you can no longer do so in what was once your Jewish home. For some, you believe in God, and for some, you may not. For some, you may love to sing and pray, and for some, you may want to sit in silence and stillness. Tonight, we welcome all of it, and we welcome all of you. There's no right way to be here, right way to feel, right way to pray, right way to practice forgiveness, right way to do Yom Kippur. I am reminded tonight of the cultivating principle, holding the whole, created by my beloved friend Diana Devora Falchuk and Sonali Sangita Balaji, founder of our Bodhi Project, that reminds us, all of us, and all of it are deeply interconnected, that all things can be present, and together we can hold what is. Thank you for being here. Shana Tova.
All right, if you turn to your first page. To start things off in that spirit of joining in, we're actually going to learn a song together, because it's okay not to know things. And as an educator, I am a deep believer that an act of resistance is learning. So we're going to teach a little bit, and that's going to happen throughout the service, and then we'll sing it. So there's 4 words to this song. So repeat after me. Ozi, Vizimratya, Vayahili, Lishua. And past a lot of the biblical language of it all, this song speaks to me a lot. It's kind of about finding a balance between intention and surrender, which for me hits home especially tonight. So there's 2 parts, and me and Ryan are just going to sing through the first part and repeat it through, listen, and when you're ready, hop on in, and then we'll move to part 2.
Ozi v'zimratya vayahili lishua. Ozi v'zimratya vayahili lishua. One more time. Ozi v'zimratya via healing. Yeshua part 2, you can listen. Hozi Zimratya via healing. Yeshua Hozi Zimratya via healing. Yeshua. Let's take it from the top. Hozi Vizimratya via healing. Yeshua. 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 Hozi Zimratya via healing. Yeshua.
Thanks for joining in. We're going to now start the Kol Nidre part of the service, which, if you don't know, this service is titled the Kol Nidre service, but it's actually a few services put together in one. And the Kol Nidre one is this one specific to Yom Kippur. This will be less joining in. It's a lot of ancient prayers, prayers that the tunes have stood for at least 800 years, which in Judaism is pretty rare. Every 5 seconds, it feels like there's a new version of a song. So this is pretty special in that way. It's going to be me doing a lot of stuff, but besides the Kol Nidre prayer, if you know it, please join on in. You'll also notice as you go through, there'll be this word chazan that you might see. That just means the leader, whoever's leading the prayer at the time, just for reference. We'll start off with the declaration of Kol Nidre, and we'll do it 3 times, once English, or once Hebrew, once English, and once back in Hebrew.
Beshiva Shemala Uveshiva Shemata Al Dat Hamakom Ve'al Dat HaKahal Hanu Matirim Lehipalel Im Havaryanim.
By the power of the great unknown, by the power of this earth, of the fragile condition of living, and with the consent of the divine breath of all life, and with the consent of the sacred community, we gather here together to pray, to turn towards ourselves and each other fully, to see ourselves and each other in our wholeness, where we have caused harm, where we have unloved ourselves and each other and the earth.
Beshiva Shemala Uveshiva Shemata Al Dat Hamakom Ve'al Dat HaKahal Hanu Matirim Lehipalel Im Havaryanim.
Move to the Kol Nidre prayer, which is ancient. And I'd like you to hold this question throughout, that my mom, as she was teaching this to me, gave me. How do we take what's ancient and make it matter now? And throughout the service, that's a question I think we're all going to answer together.
Kol Nidre Vesare Vecharame Vekoname Vekinuse Vechinuye Ushavuot Din Darna Ishtabana Udeacharina Vedeasarna Al Nafshatana Miyom Kippurim Ze Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Ole Tova Kulhon Vicharatna Vehon Kulhon Vehon Sharan Shviki Shviti V'tzelin u'mevutalin La sharirin v'la kayamin Nidrana La nidre V'sarana v'sare Ushvuatana Al shivu
We'll continue with V'nislach and keep going all the way through the rest of the page. If you know these and want to join in, please do.
V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lahager hagar betocham ki lechol ha-bishgaga V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lahager hagar betocham ki lechol ha-bishgaga V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lahager hagar betocham ki lechol ha-bishgaga Salach na levon ha'am hazeh kagodeh chasdecha v'chasher nesata la'am hazeh mimitzrayim ve'ad hena v'sham ne'emar Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha Vayomer salachti Adonai Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha
And with the Shechayanu, which is something often done when something's done for the first time and a community comes together for the first time. And so thank you all for being here again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shechayanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. And I'd like to invite Alyssa up for this reading.
What if we joined our wilderness together? Sit with that for a minute. That the body, the life, might carry a wilderness, an unexpected territory, and that yours and mine might somewhere, somehow meet, might even join. And what if the wilderness is our sorrow, or the intolerable? It astonishes me sometimes, no, often, how every person I get to know, everyone, regardless of everything, by which I mean everything, lives with some profound personal sorrow. Everyone, regardless, always of everything. Is this sorrow the great wilderness? Is sorrow the true wild? And if it is, and if we joined them, your wild to mine, what's that? For joining two is a kind of annihilation. What if we joined our sorrow, I'm saying, what if that is joy?
And with that, we're going to move to what is called the Mariv service. Mariv is evening, and this is a Friday night. So we get a little Shabbat Shalom going tonight, which is night. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, we'll do that a few times tonight. The Friday night Mariv service in particular, because it is on Shabbat, is often characterized as joyful, but less so in the framing of what Alyssa just spoke about. It's more about the happy idea. But tonight, I think this idea of joy is not that it's not about being happy, but it's definitely not only about being happy. Tonight, we're holding everything. So as we go into this next portion, let's have that definition of joy where everything is held by all of us. And we're going to start off with a tune that I'm going to sing that I'm pretty sure no one knows because my mom taught it to me, and I'm pretty sure she wrote it, unless my mom lied to me, which I don't think she did. She's watching right now, so hi, Mom. Hi, Mom, yeah. I thought this would be at least a nice way for me to get this part going, and it's going to go right into the High Holy Day Nigun and the Baruch Hu, so if you know that, once we go into that, please join in as well.
Mizmor shir, Mizmor shir, Leon HaShabbat. Mizmor shir, Mizmor shir, Leon HaShabbat. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 dai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
All right, and I'm going to invite Sarah up to lead us in the Shema.
We move to the Shema, which is the central prayer of the Jewish tradition, and it talks about the oneness of God or the divine, or however everybody in this room thinks of that. And so as we do this prayer, we'll start with the Shema and go into the V'achafta, which is afterwards. I want you to just sit with what is true for you in this moment, and however you connect to the divine or the collective, the kahal, the collective liberation we're moving towards, and just like find where that fits in your body. And it's customary to cover your eyes as we're saying this prayer so that we're both making space for ourselves in solitude, but also we're part of the community as we're saying it. We'll do one breath per word.
Thank you, Sarah. We're going to move into the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadav, Yikadash, Merabah, Be'amah, Divrach Yirutzei, Ve'amlich Malchutei, Bechayechon uvyomechon, Uvechayedecho Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman Kari, Ve'imeru Amen. Yehi Shmera B'Mevorah, Le'alam Romei Hamaya Yiparach, Yiparach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitromah V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalah Shmedekut Shabrichu Le'ela Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Damiran Be'alma Miran Be'alma V'Meru Amen.
We've come now to the Amidah, which is been referred to as the standing prayer, and in ancient times was actually just called the prayer. It is the central part of the service, or most services. Sometimes it's said out loud, and sometimes it's not actually said, and tonight we're going to do it silently, so there's just going to be time for you. To preface this a little bit, though, prayer is something I have a very conflicted relationship in terms of the word, in that I'm still learning what it means to pray. And there's very Western notions that often make it confusing. And so one thing I'd like to offer up is the Hebrew word for prayer. To pray in Hebrew is lahit palel, which is a reflexive verb that translates to judging oneself. And not to get into the whole atonement aspect of it, but more it's about sifting through yourself and what's inside of you and elevating it within your heart and within the space. And so as you take this time for yourself, that's what I'd like us to do, and however you want to. And to start that off, though, there's a single line that I'm going to chant a little bit, and one bit of choreography, if you would like to do it as well. As this chant goes, preceding the Amidah, we take 3 steps back as a way of broadening our view of ourselves and the world so we can observe it, and then taking 3 steps forward to confront it and begin our prayer. So if you would like to, in body or in spirit, as I chant that, please join in, and then the time is yours.
Adonai, tai tifta, ufi yagi, tehilatecha Adonai, sefatai tifta, ufi yagi, tehilatecha.
The time is yours to do what you want with it.
So here we are. I'm Al, and so grateful that we're all here this evening. We're gonna sing now a song that may be familiar, maybe the first time, and we're just gonna give it a try together. It's called Ayeka, and it's written by Ali Halpert, and it was written this year amidst the ongoing genocide. And for Ali, I think I've experienced it as a blessing, as this song just invites what it means to reckon with what it means to be a Jew in this time, and to reckon with the devastation, and to reckon with accountability. We'll be singing, not this line, but I'll read it aloud. The first verse translates to, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." And I'm going to teach it as well. So the chorus goes like this. I'll do each line at a time and you repeat after me, okay? Ayeka,
Ayeka,
Ayechicha,
Ayechicha,
Ayeka,
Ayeka,
That's it. And the verse, I'll do one verse and then we'll do the song together. I'll do first two lines and you repeat after me. Second two lines, repeat after me. From the ground I hear them calling your brother's blood. From the ground I hear them calling your brother's blood. What can grow here? What have we done? What can grow here? What have we done? I'm gonna give it a try now. And as the flow will be that I'll do a verse, the first part, whoever, if you know it, join with me. And we'll go into the chorus, Ayeka. We'll do verse 1 and 2, go to chorus. We'll do verse 3 and 4. And then Ayeka one more time. Asita kodem me'achicha, so akim alei min ha'adama, me'asita kodem me'achicha, so akim alei min ha'adama. Ayeka, Ayechicha, Ayeka. One more crying your sister's blood. What can grow here? What have we done? From the soil I hear them crying your siblings' blood. What can grow here? What have we done? From the ground hear them calling your siblings' blood. What can grow here? What have we done?
Thank you, Al. And thank you, everybody, for singing. That was beautiful. And with that, we're moving to our next part of the service, the Slichot, which is actually something during the Yamim Noraim, the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You say it each morning. And Slichot, in the vein of forgiveness, we're getting to that part of Yom Kippur right now. We're going to have a lot of different riffs and variations on it. And it's going to start off with what's called a piyut, which is a liturgical poem. And we kind of did our own thing with it because that's what we do. And I'd like to invite Hannah up to the stage to do it.
Thank you, Al, for leading us in that beautiful song. This is the Ya'aleh. Ya'aleh tachanunenu me'erev v'yavo shavatenu miboker v'yera re'enunenu ad arav. What if we rushed towards our own accountability and understood it as a gift we can give to ourselves and those hurting from our harm? What if we understood our accountability not as some small, insignificant act, but as an intentional drop in an ever-growing river of healing, care, and repair that has the potential to nourish, comfort, and build back trust on a large scale? Carving new paths of hope and faith through mountains of fear and unacknowledged pain for generations. Mia Mingus. Ya'aleh ein katenu me'erev, v'yavo elecha miboker, v'yera'eh Eleinu ad Arev. May our prayers of confession rise at dusk, our anguish at our imperfection meet the dawn, and let grace make us whole at dusk.
As I sat down, I realized I haven't actually said my name yet. I'm Michael. Hey, everybody. Better late than never, yeah. Pronouns he, him. We are moving to what's called the covenant, which is also something called the 13 attributes of mercy. It's a quote that's taken directly out of the Torah. It's from the Parsha Kitisa, which is about the golden calf, if you know biblical stories. God and the Bible did not like this calf a lot, was very angry. And so the moment is God giving these words to Moses, and saying, this is how you ask for compassion. And tonight, I'd like us to think of it less as an asking for compassion, but that tonight we are the creators of compassion. And let's hold that together. If you know it, please feel free to sing it with me. I'll repeat it 3 times, and the last time will be a little fun.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chatza V'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chatza V'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chatza V'Nakeh.
We're going to teach a little something right now. And no one knows this because we made it up. So we have to teach it. Or to be more accurate, it's a riff of a riff of a riff. It's our riff. So we're going to combine Shema Kolenu with a song called By the Waters of Babylon. That's a psalm that is said typically around Tisha B'Av, which is the holiday, another fast day, where we mourn the burning of the Second Temple, the destruction of it. And sometime in I don't know when Don McLean made music, but I guess he's the guy who I think did American Pie. He did a song that was a riff on it. What? 1970s, cool. Thank you. And then this guy named Joey Weisenberg, who does a lot of really awesome Jewish songs and variations, did one of it. And the original lyrics are, If I Forget You, Jerusalem, because it's about the temple, but we thought that tonight, there's not a lot of congregations around the world that are even going to say the word Palestine throughout a service. And so what would it mean to sing Palestine in a service, and how important that is for us. And so there's a niguni part. Niguni's not a real word. That's it
is now.
And then there are the verses, which basically are all the same. So we're going to teach the nigun. We'll teach the verse, and then we're going to try to do the whole thing all the way through together, if that's cool. So we'll start with the nigun.
Very simple. It goes like this.
Again.
Your turn.
waters of Babylon. We laid our lives down, laid our lives down. We sat and cried by the waters of Babylon. We sang no sacred songs, sang no sacred songs. Our tongues were tied. Oh, 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 oh,
Feeling good about that? Try it from the top of everything. We're combining with the Shema Kol Nidre, which I'll just do. A Shema Kol Nidre is about being heard, and it's often just a cry like, "Hear us, please." And on most nights, it's not about anything to do with what the world is going through right now, but tonight, this song, it's about hear us calling out for Palestine in this congregation tonight, and let us be heard. So I'm going to start with that, and then we'll get into By the Waters of Babylon.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chus V'rachem aleinu v'kabel b'rachamim uvratzon v'kabel b'rachamim uvratzon. Tefillatenu. By the waters of Babylon, we laid our lives down, laid our lives down. We sat and cried by the waters of Babylon. We sang no sacred songs, sang no sacred songs. Our tongues were tied. If I forget you, Palestine, I'll play no more again, play no more again, not one more time. Won't you show me Palestine, raised and healed again, raised and healed again, in our lifetime. not forget you, Palestine. I'll play no more again, play no more again, not one more time. Won't you show me Palestine? Raised and healed again, raised and healed again in our lifetime. Oh, oh, oh,
Thank you. And I'd like to invite Franny up for Kianu Amecha.
For Kianu Amecha, after Avotenu, I invite you to sing Salach Lanu, Mechal Lanu, Kaper Lanu with me, and then we'll sing the rest of the prayer together. Okay. Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, Salach lanu, Mechal lanu, Kaper lanu. Kianu Amecha v'Ata Eloheinu, Anu v'Anecha v'Ata Avinu, Anu Avadecha v'Ata Adonenu, Anu Gehalecha v'Ata Eloheinu, Anu Natecha v'Ata Goraleinu, Anu Zonecha v'Ata Roenu, Anu Jamecha v'Ata Notereinu, Anu Ve'ulatecha v'Ata Yoteinu, Anu Ratecha v'Ata Doleinu, Anu Segulatecha v'Ata Eloheinu, Anu Amecha v'Ata Malkeinu, Anu Mamirecha v'Ata Mamireinu, We are blowing dust, you are wind. We are open hands, you are spirit. We are the millstone, you are water. We are fertile ground, you are gardener. We are the search for words, you are clarity. We are every kind of laugh, you are joy.
We're going to continue with the Shamnu, and I'd like to invite Al back along with Ray to lead that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ray. I use they, them pronouns. This moment continues to be impossible, and it's also so real. And when we are tired, burned out, overwhelmed, triggered, we are not our best selves. We have been so many of those things for so much of this year as we are fighting to end this genocide. And it's not enough because it's still happening, and we also need to hold that we need to be kind and caring with ourselves to be in this for the long haul. We are now moving into the Vidui or Ashamnu prayer. Ashamnu literally translates to we are guilty. This prayer is a recognition of where we have missed the mark. It's an acrostic poem of things that we may have done, we probably have done, or that people in our community has definitely done. The new ending in Hebrew is the first plural pronoun, we, form of the verb. We are apologizing for all the things, both individually and collectively. As a community, we're responsible for each other. Doesn't matter if you've personally done each of these things, we name our mess ups together, we center community, and we take responsibility together. Implied in this naming is the opportunity to make different choices about our behaviors in the future, to begin the practice of teshuvah, meaning returning to our true selves, and to recommit ourselves to the work of liberation. Traditionally, during this prayer, people make a fist on their chest. Oops. And hit the area over their heart for each word. And this can symbolize opening your heart, waking up your heart, telling yourself, I love you, any of those. Some people like to use an open hand to signify holding tenderness for ourselves as we open up vulnerably to our mistakes. So we're going to sing the Ashamnu Nagun. Al or I will sing the Hebrew word. We're going to ask you to repeat the Hebrew word as singing. And then we're going to all read the English together, okay? So there's a little bit of vocal choreography here. So we're going to sing the Nagun, you're going to hear the Hebrew, repeat the Hebrew singing, read the English together, and then repeat, and there'll be breaks where we sing the Nagun again. Everybody got it?
Yai dai 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 dai.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Ashamnu.
Ashamnu.
We have perpetuated oppression, unfathomable suffering, and injustice. Bagadnu.
Bagadnu.
We have betrayed our values by failing to acknowledge the humanity and rights of Palestinians. Gazalnu.
Gazalnu.
We supported the theft of Palestinian land. Debarnu Dofi.
Debarnu Dofi.
We hid from uncomfortable truths and failed to think and act critically. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai.
Hevinu.
Hevinu.
We sought refuge in numbness and inaction. Virshanu.
Virshanu. We have funded the Israeli military through our tax dollars and communal institutions, which enable genocide and famine and uphold the occupation.
Zadnu.
Zadnu.
We have prioritized our own hurts and trauma above others' lives, refused to admit our mistakes, and accepted biased media framing. Hamasnu.
Hamasnu.
We look to police and prisons as places that maintain safety and pretended that violence against others will keep us safe. Tafal nu sheker.
Tafal nu sheker.
We enable Jewish assimilation into whiteness. Ya'atznu.
We distorted and denied the truth about the Israeli government's crimes against humanity. Kizavnu. We said what others wanted to hear. Latznu. We said it's complicated to shield abhorrent acts. Muradnu. We have rebelled against the cooperation necessary for human survival. Niatznu. We isolated ourselves from Jewish community out of frustration, anger, and sadness. Sararnu. We avoided conversations about Israel with those who denied genocide and the occupation. Avinu. We neglected the responsibility to act against the atrocities committed in our name. Pashanu. We have failed to speak up out of fear of being judged, of losing our jobs, and of hurting relationships with family members. Sararnu. We have violated other people's boundaries. Kashinu Orev. We have not confronted the Jewish institutions in our community that deny genocide. Rashanu.
We have allowed Israel
to be the exception.
Shichatnu. We let our impulses get in the way of building relationships and pursuing a just peace. Tiavnu. We led ourselves astray when we ignored others' demands for justice. Tainu. We have chosen the path of fear over love. Titanu. We conflated safety with supremacy.
We're going to continue on the next page after the picture of the whale with Mourner's Kaddish. Mourner's Kaddish is a Jewish grieving ritual and prayer and mourning. Some notes about it that are fun facts, but also important fun facts. This is not a Hebrew prayer. This is actually an Aramaic, which is a dead language now. And the reason why that's important is it's in Aramaic because that was the language most people spoke at the time. Hebrew was only for the elite, the priests. And the whole point of Mourner's Kaddish, and actually a rule, is that it must be in the language, transliterated in the language of whatever it's spoken. Because the whole point of this, again, is for us to be a part of it. And no one grieves alone. In fact, if you're very strict and observant, and I've witnessed this summer, you actually can't do this without at least 10 other Jews, which is a logistical nightmare. But I witnessed this summer how beautiful it actually is of understanding that if someone needs to grieve and mourn, you drop what you're doing and you go be a part of it so that we can do it together. I'm going to first, typically, we allow anybody who is mourning a person in the past year to say that name out loud. And I want to extend that beyond just people. If you're mourning a thing or a place or anything in the past year, speak that name out. I'll kind of just look through, and when I get to your section, if you have something you want to say out, just say it out loud, and we'll hold it together. If it's your practice to do the entire Mourner's Kaddish out loud, please join in. If it's your practice to do it certain parts, please join in. If it's your practice to stand, you can rise. And if it's your practice to just take in the moment and be in silence, that is wonderful. Yitgadal v'yitgadash merabah ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon v'imechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael v'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabah mevarach le'olam almei almaya yitbarach v'yishnabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramah v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekutsha b'richu le'ela v'kol berchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabah min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'al kol Philistine v'imru. Amen. We're going to do something different now. What you heard Al and Ray do was the Ashamanu, which is also called the Vidui. It's the short confession. El Chet is the long confession. We're not going to do the long confession tonight because we got places to be, but also more importantly, we thought it would be nicer instead of just rattling off a list of statements that are pre-prepared. The real confession is actually talking to each other, saying what's in our hearts and sharing that with someone else in community. And so what you'll see are these 3 questions. And we're going to take about 7 minutes or so and find somebody and have a conversation about those 3 questions. And it'll be very tempting to go side to side and talk to the people around you, which is wonderful. Big money points, though, if you go pew to pew, because the whole point of being in community is to make connections and be in community. And about probably 5 minutes, what we'll also do is I'll ask you to actually combine for a second round, so find a group that's near you, and so that the conversation becomes a little bigger. But
take about 30 seconds. This is very teachery of me. Take 30 seconds to find a partner, and then we'll get going and just have that conversation, and let's be intentional about this time and space and using it. So thank you. If you haven't already and want to start expanding your little small group a little more, you can start making that motion. If you're comfortable in the group that you're in, though, and it's expanded, great. We're going to keep going for like 3 minutes or so. We're going to take one more minute. One more minute. We'll start to wrap up. All right. I'm strongly resisting the urge to do like a 3, 2, 1 countdown or Quiet Coyote. So I'm fighting that. Yeah, but we'll bring it back together. I just want to say tonight, hearing all of us sing together has been absolutely beautiful. And I think something that just surprised me is how beautiful that sound was, of just so many little da-da-da-da-das, connections being made. I had a talk with a friend that I work with earlier today about the desire for more intentional connection. And I felt that just now. And so thank you for letting me be a witness to that. And I hope maybe make a friend. We're going to continue with the Kaddish Shalem. We're slowly, or hopefully not too slowly, rounding out this service. And if you haven't picked up by now, Kaddish is just kind of thrown around a lot. And there's a lot of different versions. If you know it and want to be a part of it, please definitely do. And also just take space as well if you want to just listen. Yikadal v'yikadash merabah Be'ama divrach hirutzei ve'amlich machutzei V'chayechon v'mechon v'chayedecho beit Yisrael V'agala v'zman kari v'meru amen Yehesh merabah mevorach Le'alam u'almei almaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitrama v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekutsha brichu Le'ela u'le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechamata damiram be'yama v'yimeru amen Tikabel tzloton v'oton d'chol beit Yisrael kadam mavohom v'shamaya v'yimeru amen Yehei shalom rabah min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimeru amen Oseh shalom b'ramah Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. I think I'm going to switch over to this mic because this is the part where I do the thing where I just talk at you, which is so much fun. Working over here? This feels so official over here. All right. Is that good? Cool. Shabbat Shalom.
really lucky that this happened this way this year. In the Jewish tradition, it's customary, like in many other traditions, to have a sermon spoken to the congregation each week on Shabbat or during holidays. In Judaism, we call this a devar. It's a way of taking whatever is going on in the world, the weekly Torah portion, the high holy days, the events in the world around us, or whatever we as people, individual or collective, are holding, and somehow put that into words. On this Yom Kippur, now a full year into a genocide, I'm left unsure of what to do with this devar. How do we put into words the unspeakable things that happened, live broadcasted to a world that has largely turned the other way? What do we do in the face of all this cruelty and inhumanity? How could we ever, somehow, begin to put the pieces of all that is so very broken in this world back together? I don't have any answers to those questions, and writing this devar would probably be a lot easier if I did. But being here tonight for this Kol Nidre service, singing with you all, doing something ancient in our own new way, it feels like a way to start. It feels something like healing. For many of us here tonight who have lost or never had a Jewish home, here in this church on the most holy night of the Jewish year, this maybe feels something like home. This service we've gone through tonight called Kol Nidre is something that centuries ago many rabbis debated over. And the sticking point of that debate was a matter of direction. Was Kol Nidre something that looked to the past in search of forgiveness or to the future? And I would say typically in our world today, when we think of and talk of forgiveness, we think of it as backward facing, as looking to the past. We think of all the things we've done wrong, and we try to find or create some sort of forgiveness to make amends now. Tonight, though, I'd like us to consider the second possibility. I would like us to think and speak of forgiveness in the future tense and ask ourselves the questions. What is the forgiveness we want to see in this world? What is the forgiveness we want to create in this world? I'd like us to toy with the idea that maybe that's what hope is, or at least maybe what it can be. That the forgiveness we wish to see is the hope that we will commit our hearts to. Because maybe this kind of forgiveness, this kind of hope, maybe it's one of the ways we can make something of all this brokenness. Maybe it's a part of that something that feels like healing. Truth be told, though, healing has been pretty hard to come by in these times we're living in. With every passing day, there is more grief, more anger, more rage. And at least for me, one of the hardest parts of it all has been feeling like all this has needed to be hidden, tucked away somewhere so it can't be seen in the light of our day-to-day lives. We wake up to yet another bombing. We wake up to another child, another mother, another father, another family, another friend, another neighborhood, another school, another hospital, another community, another home. Destroyed and obliterated in some of the most inhumane ways imaginable. From Palestine to Lebanon to Sudan to Congo to right here on the streets of Denver. We wake up to this, and we somehow have to find a way to show up to work, to friends, to family, to life, and somehow almost pretend like this isn't too much, that it's not too much for our hearts to hold, to have been holding, to keep holding. Tonight, though, on this Yom Kippur, here in this church on the most holy night of the Jewish year, somehow, maybe what we're doing here is something like healing, something like a start. Because what we're doing here tonight, more than any sort of ritual or prayer or atonement or any sort of holy tradition, what we're doing here is saying, we don't have to grieve in silence anymore. We don't have to grieve alone anymore. Tonight, in the most basic and human way, by which I mean showing up here together. What we're saying is, we won't let our grief be kept in the dark anymore. Tonight, this feels something like healing, because together, we're putting grief out into the light. Because grief, put out into the light, starts to look a lot like love. Grief, put out into the light, starts to feel a lot like love. And so maybe these are the pieces that we've been given. Our love, our grief, our anger, our forgiveness, our rage, our hope, our joy, ourselves, each other. Maybe this is what we've been given to do the work of Tikkun Olam, of repairing the world. And maybe this is what it means to be holy on this most holy of nights. To stand here in the face of all that feels so very broken, here in the wilderness of it all, and to somehow find a way to start putting the pieces back together. To somehow, together, begin making something we can all call home. Shabbat Shalom. And I'd like to invite Elizabeth up, who is pressing onward for Avinu Malkeinu.
We'll continue at the back of your supplement with Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu va'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu va'anenu. Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu va'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu va'anenu. Ki ein banu ma'asim.
We're getting close to wrapping things up. We're going to have one more song after this, but this is the last prayer of the night. And if it's okay, I'd like to say a few words about it because it's very special to me. Before I do, though, because the whole point of tonight is to be a part of it, I'd like to offer something as a way to be a part of this prayer that has stuck with me. There will be a line that is in there that goes, Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim. And at this point, we'll be standing. We're going to bend and bow. And it will look something like this. If actually forever wants to, is able to, if we all can rise, and we'll practice it a little bit. In body or in spirit. And so it will look like this. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim. Let's try that one more time. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim. So I'll cue that when it's time. I'd like to say some words, if that's okay. I know I've been saying a lot of words. Sorry. In the wake of October 7th last year, I made this decision that I never thought I would. Some of you know I enrolled in rabbinical school, which is a very weird thing. It's a very weird thing. And it's a quick program, by which I mean I have a lot to learn. I often feel very behind in my Judaism, and I want to say that out loud because I don't think that is an insecurity that is just me. I often feel behind, or I don't know enough, and even maybe I'm not Jewish enough. And I just want anyone in the room who also feels that to know that on this stage, I hold that insecurity very deeply. One thing, that decision though, well, it's weird to say, at December I will be ordained as a rabbi, which feels very weird. Yeah, yeah, it's weird. A lot to grapple with, and it's kind of thrust me back into Judaism with this velocity that I've just, every day I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And one of the things it's led to is learning and relearning so many prayers and songs. And there's been a lot of nights I'm just grinding out. I gotta learn this. I gotta know it. But there was always one prayer I never had to relearn, and it was this one, Aleinu. And it wasn't because I had done it all. I hadn't done this stuff for decades. But the first time I heard it again, it just fell out of me. I knew it. And now when I sing Aleinu, in my mind I'm taken back to this room on the 5th floor of a shul called Anshe Chesed on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, where me and my family used to go. And I walk into that room as the man I am now, and I see this boy sitting in a chair holding a siddur. And he knows how to read Hebrew, but he doesn't know what the words mean. And he knows enough to follow along while everyone's doing it, all the prayers and stuff, but he doesn't know enough to do anything confidently on his own. And he wants to be a part of it. He wants to know so much more than he knows, but he doesn't know how. And then suddenly, he hears this beautiful melody to words he doesn't understand, and he looks around the room, and suddenly everyone bends and bows. V'anachnu korim. And he can do that. And so he finds a small way to be a part of it, something that will live inside of him for decades without him ever realizing it, until now. And when I look at that boy, I wonder to myself, what would he think of me learning to recite prayers and songs and try to figure out what it might mean to be a rabbi and how in the world he or I could ever possibly be one out of all people? What would he think of me doing all the things that we never thought we could? And how would he feel about me being a part of everything we thought we left behind? And now, decades later, Aleinu flows out of me as if it never left, because it never did. Somehow, Aleinu made a home of me. And so I'd like to offer it to all of you tonight, because Aleinu was the first shard of my brokenness that I found to start rebuilding my Judaism with. And I hope that's abundantly clear that that's what we're doing here tonight. We're building Judaism anew. Because if what they say is true, that home is where the heart is, then Judaism needs a new heart. Nationalism is not where my heart is. Genocide is not where my heart is. Occupation and apartheid and endless war, Nakba, are not and never where any of our hearts are, and that's why we're here tonight. That's the heart we're building. A heart big enough for everyone. A heart big enough for a free Palestine. And so that work, us, somehow that gives me hope of what we can do in this world in these very trying and broken times. So in the name of Tikkun Olam, of putting these pieces back together, of trying to do that collective work, of making something we can call home, I'd like to sing it with you all now. And if you know it, this tune, please sing it with me, and I will cue V'anachnu korim. Aleinu leshabeach le'adon hakol, lateit gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu hegoye haratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. I want up, Brian. You can stay standing or seated for this last song, whatever you want to do.
I'm going to go off script for a second. Can we get a show of hands if you've ever felt not Jewish enough in your life? You're in good company, Michael. And can we show some gratitude for almost Rabbi Michael over here as well? I can't begin to fathom how much work him and all these other folks put into this service. I just showed up a week ago with a guitar, and they let me come be on stage, so it worked out. It was great. So this last song, many of you have heard, I'm sure. But we'll go over it. If I don't smash my iPad here, I'm tired of sitting on that box behind everything. All right. I'm going to put the context for it that Sarah mentioned at Rosh Hashanah. The writer of this song, I'm blanking, Batya Levine, thank you, wrote it after being at Standing Rock. So it is, keep that in mind as we do it. It's very simple like this. It's kind of a call and response. The verses start, we rise. You try it. Here we rise. And then you respond, humbly hearted, rise. Try it again. Won't be divided, rise. With Spirit to guide us, rise. Good. The chorus goes like this. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Now, verse 1, let's do it. We rise, humbly hearted, rise. Won't be divided, rise. Spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Verse 2, we rise. Up from the wreckage, rise. With tears and with courage, rise. Fighting for life now, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer. We're right here. Chorus again. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Woo!
Can we give it for
Thanks,
Ryan?
y'all.
Give it up for Ryan, please. I like to give some context for that song. I actually learned that song when I met Ryan in DC. DC Crew, shout out to DC Crew. A bunch of us went to DC when Netanyahu, love you, Rumi. When Netanyahu came to speak to Congress, and we were part of the DVP action at the Rotunda in the Capitol in DC. And the last time I saw you, Ryan, before this was at 5 a.m. in a warehouse after we've been cuffed for 12 hours, and it's nice to be here with you now. Without cuffs, yeah. And then this past Saturday after Rosh Hashanah, I hit up Ryan and was like, you're amazing at this. Can you do this for Kol Nidre? And we just sat in the park and figured this out. So thank you, Ryan, for everything tonight. And the last thing I realize is I have to do some announcements. I realize that I'm trying to remember after everything. One announcement is that we have the First Unitarian Society has a event tomorrow at 7:15, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock till 8. That also is for Gaza as well. So if you're able to, please come to that as well. And I should have looked at what other announcements there are. If there are other announcements, please announce them now. No, we're good? Okay, cool. Say it again. When is it? Great, what time? Here. 6. That's our magic time. Thanks, Em. Yeah, so just thank you so much. Again, starting with thank you, ending with thank you. Find the people you talked to tonight, and I hope that this was something meaningful for you tonight. It certainly was for me. So thank you so much. Yeah. Shana Tova, Free Palestine.